The sunlight streamed through the gauzy curtains, casting a soft glow across the room that should have felt serene. Instead, the tranquility was shattered by the discovery that lay ominously under the bed, a foreign charging wire with a connector that neither my wife's phone nor mine could accommodate. A strange sense of dread settled over me as I picked up the unfamiliar wire, its metallic sheen mocking my confusion. "Ellen, have you seen this before?" I called out, hoping for a simple explanation. From the kitchen, Ellen's voice floated back, light and unconcerned. "What is it, Mark?" "It's a charger, but not for our phones." "Found it under the bed," I replied, trying to keep the edge out of my voice as I walked into the kitchen, holding the cable out like a piece of incriminating evidence. Ellen's eyes barely flickered to the wire, her attention more focused on the vegetables she was chopping. "Oh, that? Maybe it's from when Sarah stayed over last week? You know how she's always on her phone." Her explanation was plausible, her tone nonchalant, but something didn't sit right with me. Sarah, her friend, was meticulous, forgetting a charger seemed out of character. "Maybe," I murmured, though the seed of doubt was already planted, sprouting roots that crept darkly through my thoughts. Days passed, the charger forgotten, yet the seed of doubt grew, watered by small, inexplicable changes in Ellen's behavior, more phone calls where she'd leave the room, her sudden need for privacy with her phone, and evenings where she worked late without much explanation. My curiosity morphed into suspicion, morphed into action. I decided one evening to come home early, unannounced, my mind twisted with the scenarios that had played over and over in my head. The house was quiet when I entered, too quiet. My heart hammered as I moved silently through the hallway, drawn inexorably towards the bedroom. The door was ajar, and through the sliver of space, the sight that greeted me was one no husband should ever see, the outline of two figures on our bed. I pushed the door open, and the scene before me confirmed my worst fears. Ellen, with someone not me, in a state of undress that left nothing to the imagination. "Ellen!" The word tore from my throat, raw and laden with betrayal. She scrambled upright, her face ashen, eyes wide with shock and something else, guilt. The man beside her, just as disheveled, was an indistinct blur, his identity irrelevant against the backdrop of my crumbling marriage. "How could you?" My voice was a hoarse whisper, my stance frozen at the doorway. Ellen stammered, her usual eloquence lost in the chaos of exposed secrets. "Mark, I don't want to hear it." I cut her off, the anger surging, red and hot and all-consuming. I turned my back on her, on them, unable to stomach the sight. The hours that followed were a blur of shouts, tears, and recriminations. My once beloved wife's pleas for forgiveness became mere background noise to the thunderous rush of betrayal in my veins. I told Ellen to leave, to take her things and disappear from my life. The divorce proceedings were swift, fueled by my relentless desire to sever all ties. As I watched her walk away from the house we had built together, a part of me grieved for the love lost, for the life that could have been. But the larger part was consumed by a cold resolve. Revenge had not been a path I'd ever envisioned for myself, yet here I was, standing at its dark threshold, determined to right the wrongs done to me. Ellen's betrayal was the catalyst, and as I closed the door on our shared past, I opened another to a future where the scales of justice would be balanced, no matter the cost. The intrigue of how I would achieve this, and what lay ahead, was only just beginning. The morning after Ellen's departure dawns grey and heavy, the sky a mirror to my mood. My mind races as I prepare for work, the routine motions doing little to soothe the storm within. Today, unlike any other, I decide that I need allies, people who can help me navigate the murky waters of betrayal and revenge. As I step into the bustling office, my colleague and longtime friend, Dave, immediately notices my disheveled appearance. "Mark, you look like hell," he comments, his brow furrowed with concern as he pulls me aside into the break room. I feel worse, I admit, the weight of the past few days threatening to crush me. I quickly glance around to ensure we're alone before continuing. "Ellen cheated on me, Dave. In our house. I found them together." Dave's expression shifts from concern to shock, then hardens into anger. "That's messed up, man. What are you going to do about it?" "I'm not sure yet, but I want to make sure she regrets betraying me, I say, a cold resolve settling over me. Dave nods, his loyalty clear. Count me in. Whatever you need, I'm here. Gratitude mixes with my turmoil. Thanks, Dave. I might need some unconventional help. Say no more. Let's grab a beer after work and plan this out, Dave suggests, clapping me on the back as we head out of the break room. The day drags on, each hour punctuated by silent phone checks and distracted nods to colleagues. Finally, the clock signals the end of the day, and I meet Dave at a dimly lit bar, a place where secrets are as common as the bottles lining the walls. As we settle into a secluded booth, Dave's friend, Lena, joins us. She's a private investigator, known for her discretion and effectiveness. Her cool gaze assesses me, perhaps weighing the measure of my pain against the potential danger of her involvement. Dave tells me you're looking for justice, Lena states, her voice even. I am. I want to know everything. Who he is, where he's from, how long it's been going on, everything. My voice is steady, driven by a hunger for truth. Lena nods, pulling out a small notepad. I can get you what you need. Surveillance, background checks, the works. But remember, the truth isn't always what we expect or want. I nod, understanding the risks. I need to know, regardless. We'll need something of hers to get started. Something personal. Does she still have belongings at the house? Lena asks, her pen poised. Yes, plenty. She hasn't cleared out her things yet. Good. Get me something I can use. We'll take care of the rest, Lena instructs, her professionalism a thin veil over the intensity of her gaze. I agree, feeling the first stirrings of empowerment amidst the ruins of my heartbreak. As Dave and I leave the bar, the night air feels sharp against my skin, each breath a reminder of the path I've chosen. The drive home is quiet, the city lights blurring past as I contemplate the coming days. Once home, I head straight for Ellen's dressing room, her scent lingering like a ghost. I rummage through her drawers, my hands finally closing around her diary, a private memento she cherished. This diary, once a symbol of her innermost thoughts, now serves as the key to unlocking her secrets. As I clutch it to my chest, the weight of my actions settles in. I am stepping into a world of shadows, but I am not turning back. Tomorrow, the investigation begins. And with it, the slow unraveling of Ellen's betrayal. As the darkness envelops the house, I realize that the night is not just a cover for sleep, but for plans best laid away from prying eyes. The game is on, and I am no longer just a betrayed husband, I am a man on a mission. I am no longer just a betrayer of activity, a stark contrast to the silent brooding of the night before. With Ellen's diary in my possession, I drive to Lena's office, a nondescript building nestled between a bookstore and a coffee shop in a busy part of town. The normalcy of the scene does little to calm the storm brewing within me. Lena greets me at the door, her expression unreadable. "You've got something for me?" she asks as soon as I step inside. I hand her the diary, the leather cover worn and familiar under my fingers one last time. "Will this help?" I ask, hoping the answer is yes. "It's perfect. I'll start with this." "Have a seat, I need to discuss how deep you want this investigation to go," Lena directs, leading me to a small, cluttered office that smells faintly of old coffee and paper. As we sit across from each other, Lena opens the diary, her eye scanning the entries quickly. "Mark, are you sure you're ready for whatever this uncovers? Sometimes things can't be unseen." I nod, firm in my resolve. I need to know everything, no matter how painful. "All right. I'll get to work on this immediately. I might have some initial findings by tomorrow," Lena says, closing the diary and locking it in her desk drawer. Leaving her office, I feel a mix of relief and anxiety. Part of me fears what she might find, but the need for closure, for revenge, drives me forward. That evening, Dave calls. "How'd it go with Lena? You holding up all right?" "She's on it. We should know more soon." "Thanks for checking in, Dave," I reply, grateful for his support. Listen, Mark, there's a guy I think you should meet. He's been through something similar. Might be good to talk to someone who understands, Dave suggests. Sure, I guess. When? How about tonight? He's free, and I think it'll help, Dave insists. Curiosity wins out over my reluctance. Okay. Meet at O'Malley's? Perfect. See you at 8, Dave confirms. The pub is crowded, the air thick with chatter and the clink of glasses. Dave waves me over to a booth where a man sits alone, nursing a pint. He's about my age, with a weary look that seems all too familiar now. Mark, this is Ryan. Ryan, Mark, Dave introduces us, and we shake hands, the grip firm and understanding. Dave told me a bit about your situation. I'm sorry, man. It's rough, Ryan starts, his voice low and empathetic. Thanks. I heard you went through something similar? I probe, eager to hear his story. Yeah, caught my wife a couple of years back. It's a gut punch. But I got through it, and so will you, Ryan shares, his story pouring out over the next hour, tales of betrayal, legal battles, and eventual redemption. His words are a balm, and as we talk, the plan with Lena doesn't seem as daunting. Here is living proof that life goes on, that there is a way out of the darkness. We part ways late in the night, promises to keep in touch exchanged. I drive home feeling less alone, bolstered by Ryan's story and Dave's unwavering support. As I lay in bed, the house too quiet around me, I realize that while the path I've chosen is fraught with unknowns, I am not walking it alone. With Lena's investigative skills, Dave's loyalty, and now Ryan's experience, I have a fighting chance to right the wrongs done to me. Tomorrow promises the first answers, and as sleep finally claims me, I brace for the truths that are waiting just beneath the surface. The journey into the heart of my wife's betrayal is just beginning, and I am ready to face whatever comes, armed with newfound allies and a resolve hardened by pain and purpose. The early morning sun barely touches the sky as I wait outside Lena's office. The anticipation gnaws at me, each minute stretching longer than the last. Finally, the door swings open and Lena waves me inside, her face serious. Mark, take a seat. We need to discuss what I've found, she says, her tone somber, as she hands me a folder thick with documents and photographs. I open the folder, my hands trembling slightly. The first photo is of Ellen, unmistakably her, but not with the man I caught her with. This one is different, older, distinguished. My confusion deepens. Who is this? I ask, looking up at Lena. That's the first surprise. He's not just some random guy, he's a well-known businessman, influential in the city. And according to what I found, he's been a part of Ellen's life far longer than you might expect, Lena reveals, her eyes not leaving mine. What do you mean? My voice is a whisper, dread settling in. They've been in contact for years, Mark. Even before you two were married. It seems your marriage was part of a larger deception. Ellen has been manipulating you from the start. The room spins as I process her words. Betrayal is one thing, but a calculated deception spanning the entirety of our marriage is something else entirely. Why? Why would she do this? I managed to say through clenched teeth. That's the second part. It seems Ellen was involved in financial fraud. She used relationships to shield her activities, to keep her true dealings hidden. You were a cover for her. Anger, hot and fierce, courses through me, but before I can speak, my phone buzzes. It's Dave. Mark, you need to see this, Dave sounds urgent. Turn on the news. I switch on Lena's office TV, and the screen shows a breaking news segment. Ellen's picture flashes across it, along with the headline, Local Businesswoman Arrested in Financial Fraud Sting. The reporter details how Ellen used her relationships to launder money, implicating several high-profile individuals in the process. As the truth sinks in, the depth of her deceit leaves me hollow. Mark, are you there? Lena's voice pulls me back. Yes. I heard enough. I need some air, I say, standing up abruptly, the room feeling too small, too constricting. I walk out, the fresh air doing little to quench the burn of betrayal. As I stand there, trying to piece together the shattered parts of my life, a car pulls up. It's Ryan. Dave called me. I saw the news. I'm sorry, Mark, he says, stepping out. It was all a lie, every single moment, I say, the words bitter. Ryan stands beside me, a silent pillar of support. What will you do now? I don't know. But I won't let her deceit define my life. I will rebuild, on my terms, without her, I resolve, my voice steadier than I feel. And she will face justice for what she's done, Ryan adds. As we talk, a plan forms, not one of revenge, but of rebuilding. I decide to cooperate with the authorities to fully expose Ellen's schemes. It's the first step towards reclaiming my life. Weeks pass, and the day of Ellen's trial arrives. I watch as she is led into the courtroom, her eyes never meeting mine. When her gaze finally finds mine, there's a flicker of something, regret, perhaps, or just a plea for leniency. I look away, my decision clear. You were a cover for her. Trial is swift. Ellen's crimes are laid bare, and she is sentenced to a lengthy prison term. As the judge declares the sentence, I feel a chapter of my life close, the weight of the past lifting slightly. Leaving the courthouse, I realize I'm free from the web of lies. It's a freedom bought with pain, but as I walk into the light of a new day, I'm ready to face whatever comes next, leaving Ellen and her deceit behind forever. The finality is a harsh comfort, but it's mine, and I embrace it, stepping forward into a future unshadowed by betrayal.